And usually I just wing this stuff like everything else in my life, other than eyeliner today. I didn't wing any eyeliner or use any eyeliner. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Kayla here, your client account consultant with Opus Management. Welcome to Water Cooler Wednesday. I hope everybody is, well, if you're down here in Texas, I hope you're staying dry. We're not cold anymore, but by gosh, we sure are getting a heck of a lot of rain. So I hope that everybody's able to stay dry. Hopefully our ground will dry out just a little bit here pretty soon. I'm starting to get a little worried about what our hay situation is going to look like soon down here, because we've been everywhere lately with our weather, and man, the grass, usually it's green here at home, and it has not been. So thanks for joining us. If you're a repeat returner, if you are not, welcome. Like I said, my name's Kayla. I am the client account consultant for Opus Management. I tend to run a lot of our projects, build out SharePoint sites, manage some of our social media clients, and essentially just be one of the go-to people that you'll find here at Opus. I do head up, we are an Ohio-based company, but I do head up our Texas home office. My office is my home office, but I am based down here in the Texas coast. And happy to help. So I know that we kind of talked, starting beginning of this month, we talked about goals and setting goals and planning, budgeting, looking at the numbers and, taking like the emotional piece out of how you're doing with your business, or even with your company, or even your personal goals, right? I think that, we've had some struggles in the last 3 years with the change in the economy and the way that everything's going, and we kind of lost sight of that. What does good look like for everybody, and what does that go with? But as we continue forward, keeping in mind that when we set these things up, you really have to look at the big picture and then narrow down. And that's going to be crucial for anything. And I think that a good place to start, especially if you're going to be a new business, is understanding your customer. We see some of our clients when they're starting a business, or they're in that first couple of years, that that's the hardest to really make out of and find your break-even point. We see a lot of them offering too many options, and by that I mean you can't offer every single color and every single style if you're going to do textiles, if you're going to be in that option, or you can't. You're going to overload yourself on inventory. I think a big piece of it is getting very specific, and building a model that you can grow from, right? So if you're looking at, like, I want to design a boot, or I want to design a flip-flop that's very specific, there's always room, and especially here, where we're at now, there's always a market. It's being able to speak to that market and speak to that customer base that really is going to help you succeed in your business. So when we look at these things and we're thinking about the customers, it's really good to get kind of a pulse on where your ideal customer is going to be. I think that a lot of us start with what we want, right? Like, essentially, you see a problem and you come up with a solution, and you start with what you want, and that's a great starting point. And then we get into kind of this paralysis of, oh my gosh, all the options. So we were talking to a client this morning on a meeting. We were kind of discussing a new venture for them and where they want to go with it. And there's so many pieces, everything's floating around, right? We're in the beginning stages of it. Outside of the legal piece of it, the accounting side of it, like those basics. When you really started to narrow down the products, just getting started is great. And I think that's where a lot of us get held up, right? Like we want to make sure that we've got all the options available, that we are, we're offering all of the things that we believe would make a sale. So we want to offer option A, B, and C, and then D, E, F, G, and sometimes that gets to be too much, and especially given too many choices. I know, and it's funny because like if you walk into the vitamin aisle at your grocery store and you look at all the vitamin options that you've got, like unless you go in like really armed with some information, like you really don't. Like, it's almost a paralysis of, it's a decision paralysis because you have so many options. And I think we all, as small business owners or entrepreneurs, like sometimes we can get stuck in that. And you have to be careful with that. Because the longer you sit on it, the quicker somebody else can start that. I mean, you obviously saw a need for it, right? And once you find that need, you're not going to be the only one. There's too many people on this earth for it to be just, one person has thought about it. So a great option that we can do, right? And this is something that we're doing for this new customer, is we can put together kind of essentially like a survey, right? That compiles all the data and allows you to push this towards your target audience and take that information and compile it. And you can then kind of see, where things are at. So what are your top options? Like if you take a survey of 500 people, where do the majority fall on certain pieces? What are the favorites? What are the least likely to be purchased of whatever it is, or the service, what services would they like to use? If you're looking at expanding your service line, right? So like, let's say you're a hairstylist or you are a dog groomer and you're trying to decide what other services should you offer, it's really quick and easy to set up and collect all of this data, and we can do it fairly fastly, especially if you've done a good job capturing your customers' emails and information, which that's always a good thing to have. We highly recommend creating an email list for your customers so that you have that contact point, right? And we're not relying on social media, we're not relying on cold calls, and we're not relying on like having to run a report every time. You want to be able to have that as an option to send this out, and you can send it out with some kind of perk, like, hey, if you give us your feedback, you get X discount next time you come in, depending on what it is. Like if, like in what we were talking about, a hairdresser, you can offer a blowout. If you're a dog groomer, you can offer a free nail trim. It works in so many options. You can always give a free gift with the next purchase, any of those kinds of things. So finding out where your customers are at, what the majority of your customers are looking for. That way it allows you to bring in that, allows you to start your basis with start that money coming in, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Like if you don't, if there's money flowing in and there's just money flowing out, you're not going to last very long. And so don't allow the time that you're agonizing over these decisions. Don't allow that to interfere with getting started, because I promise you, sometimes we are our own worst enemies, in that we will we'll get ourselves stuck. Hi Pepper, we're talking about small businesses kicking off and just getting your customers' inputs and some options for that, because that's just what I talked to a client about this morning. And I didn't have a better option today. I hadn't come up with anything else. It's been a week. Yeah. And that we're flooding, and Texas is trying to flood. But so So the forms and the surveys are great options to gather information, especially if you're an existing business, right? You can send it out. It's super easy. If you've been smart, capture their emails. Super easy to gather that information. You can get it set up in a form, export it out to Excel, take a look at the data, and make an informed decision, because we are not always our own ideal customer. And it's okay if that's the way you want to treat your business, but then you have to think about it. Really, it's not a business, right? It's just a side hustle. And there's a big difference in putting the time in and treating something like a business and something like a side hustle. So, as you're going through this and you're looking into that, gathering that information, there's several options out there that you can use. There's several companies that will collect data for you if you want a broader expansion. If your social media reach isn't as large as some others, you can partner. A great thing is that there's almost always somebody that has your ideal customer that's probably following them. With the reach that social media has, and with the amount of time that TikTok is taking off as a search engine, this is a great kind of place to go. And if you look at it, right, you can always find somebody that has your ideal audience if you don't have it. So don't be afraid to reach out and look at partnerships with, some of your content creators. Probably not your social media managers, because there is, as you start looking at this, a very distinct line between a social media manager and a content creator. There's a lot that starting off do both. I'll be the first to tell you, I do a lot of it myself for, on the horse side and the stallions. I do a lot of the content creation itself and the social media management piece to it. And it's fairly daunting. It makes for a long week sometimes when you have to pull things out if there's not a whole lot going on for creating that content. And so, think about, you're thinking about those things, right? Like, so if you've got some options, and I wouldn't strap a lot of your content creators down, especially if you're going to look for an influencer, finding somebody that'll get that information for you or get your products and services out to them. So, thinking about those avenues is something that's going to be a little bit different nowadays. We've got so many options as far as social media goes. Understanding what your customer looks like what does that really look like? And a customer being everybody. I want everybody to be my customer is terrible. It's a terrible idea, and it's going to send you down a rabbit hole that you really don't necessarily want to go down, just because it's really hard to trace everything all at once. It's just like having too many options. It allows us it gets us in the paralysis. And it looks like my TikTok feed just turned off. And we're getting pretty close to my time of my streaming service wanting to kick me off. But don't get yourself in that. Don't get yourself stuck in that spiral, right? Because it'll create so much inaction for you that it will create inaction instead of action, right? It'll cease what you're doing. And a lot of that, and especially if you've got, which I feel like a lot of us do, some type of neurodiversity. So depending on how your brain works and how your brain functions, having too many options can be a bad thing. It's great to have I've got several shirts that I have in multiple colors. Probably my favorite shirt, I have it in 4 colors, and I have it in those 4 colors. I have 2 of them I have 3 of the same color, right? I have 3 black ones and I have 3 of these blue ones, but they're embroidered with different things on them, so I have some options, but I love that shirt. And while I could have like 20 colors, I think it would have been too much, and I wouldn't have been able to decide on what color I wanted. So instead, I had 7 options, and I picked 4. One of them I actually don't like. I don't wear it. But then I had them embroidered with stuff. Like, I have them, they've got my Opus Management. I've got one that's got my stallion's name on it, and another one, and then 2 more that have got another company that I'm part of. And so, so in that, if I'd had 20 colors of options of shirts, like, I probably would have been stuck and could have not decided. Some people, although I don't know where we're at in this, I don't know where everybody's at in the economy right now, right? But some people, yes, they can afford to have all 20 colors if that's what they really wanted, if it was really their favorite. But I feel like some people want an option. So set up, get that information, get it out there, get it from different sources. Different sources is always a great thing. So, partner with somebody, whether it's a friend of yours that is in the same kind of area. Like if you're, if we're talking about hairstylists, and you've got a friend that works in California, and you're in Texas, and you've got another friend that works in New York, ask them to get feedback from their customers in their friend circle as well. Social media offers us such a great platform to do so, and you can put that information out there with a link, and we can help you with that if that's something that you want to do. But you can put that information out there in a link, and then collect it back and take a look at it and kind of decide, where are we at. So you can categorize it. We could put, okay, where are you located? Are you located in California? Are you located in Texas? Are you located in New York, Florida? And then you can sort by those demographics. So then you also can provide that information as feedback to the person you're partnering with on it. So just a thought, just kind of something that came up today. I think that, a lot of people do a good job in the very beginning thinking about their customers, and then we just kind of put it to the side, right? And like you get into the day-to-day business stuff, and you don't take time, just like your goals and reassessing on where it's at and what's changed. So are we still catering to the company, like the clients when we were babies? Did we grow? Have we changed our product line? Are we still focusing, and this gives you answers in marketing too, like are we still focusing on those pieces that maybe aren't as specific to our customer now? Like, have we grown in the last year? Have we grown in the last 4 years? Are we looking at the wrong type of customer? Are we approaching it down the wrong avenue? Those types of things. So I hope you guys found this helpful. We appreciate you following along. Would love for you to check out and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Yeah. If you're looking and you want to discuss, maybe the pain points going on in your system, it doesn't have to be customer, it doesn't have to be anything specific. You just be looking for some outside information. We would love to help you. And guys, we really want to make sure that we're doing what's best for you. So if we don't have an option that fits your need or your budget, we're going to tell you, and we'll be upfront with that. So don't be afraid, no matter what the level of your budget is, to let us know and reach out. We've definitely got some options, and we're here to help. So find us at opusmanagement.us. You can also find us, of course, on your favorite streaming platform or social media platform. You can find me right here every Wednesday at noon. We've got one more day in January, and then we're going to kick off February, and we're going to do some more sales stuff and some low-pressure sales conversations around needs and commitments, things like that. So I look forward to seeing you guys again next week, and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I hope you're dry. I hope you're warm. And I hope you have